Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Rich T Racing. Now, today's video, I'm once again joined by James Derrick. Say hello, Derrick.
Hello.
Thank you for just saying hello and not hello, Derrick. We are making progress. In today's video, we are going to be talking about DRS. This is a topic that it's been in Formula One since 2011, and I think every single season people are talking about it, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Has it improved Formula One, or has it completely destroyed it? And obviously now with the 2021 regulations coming in, there are murmurings that the top brass are potentially going to be looking to get rid of DRS and make racing more natural. But then, has DRS been a good thing or a bad thing? So we'll start off, I think, with our own personal opinions about DRS, and I shall throw it straight to you, Derrick. What do you think about DRS? Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
So just a side note, for those of you that don't know, DRS stands for drag reduction system. It's an opening in the rear wing of the car to reduce the drag of the car so that it has higher top speed and can basically overtake easier. Personal viewpoints on DRS are that it was needed. I think that the sport had lulled a bit when they introduced it, and it has improved overtakes. It has improved the spectacle, and I think it's been great. And I also think that, on a side note, it's quite interesting in qualifying as well, being able to use that down the straight. It just adds something extra to the excitement, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with most of pretty much everything you just said there. I mean, I've got some hardcore stats up right here. We'll go to 2008 and 2009, for example. There were 267 and 211 on-track overtakes that year. That goes up significantly to 452 in 2010. But then when we look at 2011, we see that number almost double again into there being 821 overtakes per season, and throughout the season, an average of 43.2 overtakes per race. And then the following year, 2012, we saw the most amount of overtakes we've seen in Formula One since 1990, which is as far back as this table goes. We see 870 overtakes during a year. So obviously DRS has improved overtaking massively. The problem I have with DRS is that it takes away the naturality, if that's a word, of Formula One. And I think it was summed up perfectly in 2017. I think just after the Australian Grand Prix, there was a brilliant freeway fight between, it was Nico Hulkenberg, Esteban Ocon, and Fernando Alonso. And it was one of the few on-track battles that race. And I think it was Alex Wurz came out and said that when you think of old Formula One, what was considered the best version of Formula One back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, you didn't talk about the race itself. You would talk about those little individual battles. You'd talk about these amazing moves. Like, imagine if Mika Hakkinen had made that overtake on Michael Schumacher at Belgium using DRS. We wouldn't talk about that as one of the greatest overtakes of all time. We'd just say, oh, he's just used DRS. So I think, for me, DRS has been a very good thing. I agree. And then coming into 2017, for example, the number of overtakes per race drops down from 41.2 to 22, so it's almost half. That's obviously because the cars got wider and aerodynamics became a much bigger thing. So if DRS wasn't there, then we'd see far less on-track overtakes than what we saw in 2008 and 2009, for example. But at the same time, I think that would make the overtakes that happened would be even more spectacular to see. So I'm somewhere in the middle. I appreciate DRS for what it's done, but at the same time, I want to see the cars racing against each other and overtaking each other more naturally, which is what I hope is going to happen in 2021. So those are my initial thoughts on DRS.
Yeah, I think what is interesting about DRS is that it's something else to think about as a driver and as a spectator. Like, we're all looking to see, are they within a second? That adds excitement to the spectacle, to watching it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong. I think it was, what was it, the last race when Hamilton's chasing down Verstappen, and I think he was no more than 3 seconds away from at any point, and then you started to see that gap come down to about 1.1 seconds, and that's when it started to get exciting. It's like, oh god, he's within a second Is he going to be win a second next time round? And then also there's a couple of obscure Grand Prix I want to bring your attention to. Derrick, you won't remember any of them because you can't remember anything beyond 2014.
Can't remember anything beyond yesterday, so
that's fair enough. You do drink a lot. In the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of 2010, I can remember I was watching it on Sky Sports not that long ago, and you could see Lewis Hamilton chasing Vettel for the lead, and the gap was at about 0.8 of a second. Now, in current Formula One, that would be incredibly exciting because obviously that was the fight for the championship. Hamilton needed to win to have any chance of winning the championship. So did Vettel. And if we'd had that excitement with DRS, that could have made a much more entertaining Grand Prix. And actually, if there had been DRS, I reckon you would have seen Fernando Alonso winning that World Championship. And I think it was actually based on that race that the DRS was brought in, because it did just sort of take away slightly, particularly at tracks like Abu Dhabi, where it's very difficult to follow, and tracks like Brazil, and all of these tracks out there that are narrow and where cars find it difficult to follow. That's where DRS has improved the show greatly, and again improves the spectacle. So that's the positive for DRS. But again, as well, as I said, it takes away the naturality of it.
Yeah, well, I think what we've come to a decision then. I think we've already sort of hit the nail on the head here. There are some reasons to have DRS and some not. Yep. Like maybe some tracks do, like Silverstone doesn't. Like you can slipstream down the hangar straight enough without DRS. It's just not needed.
Yeah, Canada as well. Monza, you don't need it there. Belgium, you got the what's it called? I forget what it's called. The main straight.
No idea.
So
yeah, you don't need DRS there. But then when it comes to Monaco, without DRS, I mean, overtakes don't really happen where the DRS zone is, but it means that you can get closer to make that overtake move around Monaco. It's like certain tracks suit it.
When the cars were narrower, I think that's where DRS really worked at Monaco, because I remember a stat came out in 2008 where they said, I think it was the Spanish Grand Prix, there were 2 on-track overtakes in that entire race, and then you look at Monaco in I think it was 2015 or one of those years, and that was the lowest overtakes per year, and there was still like 15 overtakes at Monaco, which is obviously unheard of. So yeah, I think at the moment DRS doesn't do anything around Monaco, but I think it certainly at least makes it gives there's more opportunity for overtaking. It makes that more doable at Monaco, if that makes sense. Or if I'm just rambling. I think I'm just rambling at this point.
It's rambling, but it's good rambling, so it's okay. I think as well, sorry, that there are lower categories, like lower single-seater categories, that have a maximum number of uses on DRS, and I definitely think that is something that should be looked at. Yeah,
this is something I was going to... This was the final point I was going to come on to. I think DRS could still be used, but I think it needs to be settled with. Like, my proposition was that, okay, so DRS gets turned on, again, if you don't know, DRS gets turned on after 2 laps in any F1 race. I think, and then it just gets left on for the entire race. I think to make it more interesting, give us that naturality that a lot of racing fans look for, but also give the possibility of overtakes that more casual watchers would look for, I think only have DRS on for 50% of a race, maybe less. So and also they don't tell you when DRS gets turned on. It's sort of like you just got to keep as close to the car in front of you as you can, and then you'll get a notification from the FIA saying DRS is being turned on in 2 laps for 10 laps. So you've got 10 laps to use DRS and try and make up as much ground as possible. That I think would work brilliantly when you get situations where one of the top 6 cars, or more than one of the top 6 cars, are further down the grid if they've had problems in qualifying or they've been knocked out of the race. I think back to Britain 2018, for example, Lewis Hamilton got spun round at the very start, and he was ultimately able to finish second because overtaking the cars further down the grid was so easy. He could just breeze past them because he had DRS. I think he was back up to 6th within at least 15 laps. So that's where I think in those situations, that's where DRS is overpowered. And I think what I've just proposed would be a very good way to mitigate that. And then obviously going into 2021, we don't know how close the cars will be able to follow. But that could certainly be something that gets introduced if DRS is still a part of the 2021 regulations.
I think along with your like the FIA decide when to turn it on, maybe some races it doesn't get turned on. Maybe if the FIA or the stewards, whatever, deem that actually the racing is close enough as it is, and enough overtakes. Maybe they have a number of overtakes that like should happen in a race or something, and they have to try and match that. Obviously, different per track, and if it doesn't reach that, then they turn it on for the last 20 laps or whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think you nailed it on the head there.
We're good at this.
We're getting so good at this. We're agreeing with each other. We're talking about things. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. And I think before we push our luck and start going too far and complimenting each other too much, because that's just not on, I think this is a very good point to end this DRS video. Unless you have any final thoughts on DRS, Derrick.
Final thoughts are: it's good that it came in. It helped the sport. But when it comes to 2021 with these new regulations, it seriously needs to be looked at whether or not that DRS is necessary in the capacity that it is currently.
I completely agree. I think DRS will stay for 2021. I think it will, and because just in case this all of a sudden all the plans that we have discussed, you can check that out in the video that will appear in one of these corners, but not that corner. But yeah, I think it will stay for 2021. And then possibly, if provided that it does work, I think then it will be pretty quickly binned, and I think that will be in the best interest of everyone. But I think that is all we have to say on DRS. I hope you enjoyed our little chat just then. I hope if you found it interesting, if you have different opinions, do be sure to let us know in the comments below. So I will say goodbye to Derrick. If you want to say goodbye, Derrick.
Goodbye.
And I too shall say goodbye. Goodbye.